Hey, do you find yourself having trouble communicating with people? You know, communication is the essence of life. And we're going to talk about it when we come back. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, CLM II for Style with Power, the channel that helps empower men through style. And if this is your first time here and you like videos that talks about fashion, that talks about style, that talks about empowerment, and that talks about mindset, well, this is the channel for you. So just go down, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll know every time we upload a video. Well, as I said, communication is the essence of life. You know, I've been in the communication business for a long time. I'm what you would call a communications expert. I've been teaching communications for years. I wrote a few books. I did one on customer service, which is all about communication. I did one on public speaking, which is of course is about communication. And of course I did one on leadership development, which is also tied into communication. So my whole career has been about how to communicate better, because if you learn to communicate better, then you will be better and you will be more successful. But when I was younger, someone mentored me, had to teach me, and one of the things they told me to do was to read a great book that was written back in 1936, a self-help book written by a man by the name of Dale Carnegie, and it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of the greatest self-help books of all time. As I said, this book was written in 1936 and people still refer to it today. So if you have never heard of this book or you have not read this book, I tell you that you should go out and you should pick this book up, because people have been following these techniques and these principles for years. So I'm going to quickly talk about some of the things from the book, some of the principles from the book. So within the book, Dale Carnegie talks about 6 principles to help people to like you. 6 principles. So principle number 1, be genuinely interested in other people. Once again, take a keen and genuine interest in other people. You see, one of the great things about liking or being liked is that you show that you like others. You show that you're interested in others. So when individuals come up to you and they want to speak to you about what's going on in their life, be intentional with paying close attention to what they're saying. Understand that when you show genuine interest in others, they will in turn show interest in you. So, principle number 1 of getting people to like you: be genuinely interested in others. Principle number 2, smile. You know, that's one of the things I always teach in my communications class, that when you're doing customer service, smile. And as I like to say, when you smile, the whole world smiles with you. Yes, when you're communicating with people and you have a sense of happiness, a sense of content by smiling, they definitely will feel your energy. They definitely will feel that you're interested in them, that you like them, that you want to be around them. All right? When you don't smile, right, people think that there's something wrong. And they tend to ask you, when you don't have a smile or when you have a kind of a frown on your face, they kind of ask you, hey, what's wrong? You know, what's the matter? And it may not be anything wrong with you. You may just be having a bad day that day. But isn't it annoying when people ask you over and over again, hey, what's the matter? Is everything okay? It's annoying. It bothers you. So smiling definitely lets the world know that you're in a good mood. So when you're communicating with others, smile. Principle 3. Remember, a person's name to them is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Yes, people like to hear their name. So when you're communicating with individuals, in order for you to be able to remember their name, you should repeat it often in conversation. For instance, you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm CLM II. And what's your name? Oh, Joseph. So how are you today, Joseph? And let me ask you a question, Joseph. What was your day like today? Oh, that sounds great, Joseph. Wow. And did you know them long, Joseph? Notice how I keep repeating their name. That will help me remember it, and that will help them feel like I'm genuinely interested in them. So don't forget that a person's name to them is the sweetest and most important language, most important sound in any language. Principle 4. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about the things that they've done. They love to talk about the things that they haven't done. They love to talk about all the situations they've been involved in. They just love to talk about themselves. Encourage people to talk about themselves. You would be surprised how you can ask a person a question and they would just go on and on and on and on. And at the end of your conversation with them, they'll say, man, we had a great conversation. And you barely said anything because you allowed them to talk about themselves. And because you allowed them to talk about themselves, they really felt good about themselves and they felt that you were really interested in them. So, encourage people to talk about themselves. And be a good listener. As the saying goes, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means we should listen twice as much as we should talk. Principle 5. Talk in terms of people's interests. In other words, find out what interests the person that you're talking to, and then try to speak in their language. Now, of course, we can't always, or we don't always know the lingo of what interests people, but if you do know their lingo, try to use words that will connect you to them so you can build rapport. For instance, if someone is into music, right? You talk about musical things, bring up musical artists, anything that you may know about music. If someone is into sports, you talk about sporting things, about the different sports, things that will interest them. If someone is into the medical field, any little knowledge you may have about the medical field, ask them questions, let them answer, listen to them. That's what you need to do in order to build rapport with them. So you talk in the terms of people's interests. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important, but do it sincerely. All right? Don't just do it just so that you can build a relationship and you don't really feel that they're genuinely important to you. Right? Whenever you want to build a strong relationship, you want to build strong communication, then that person at that time should be the most important person to you. At the present time, they're in front of you, they're speaking to you, your interests, your mindset, everything that you have, your energy should be directed towards them. They, at that time, should be the most important person to you, and you should be sincere about it. All right? So that's principle 6. Make the person sincerely feel important to you. Well, there you have it. The 6 ways to make people or help people like you, right? 6 principles. And you should definitely get the book. Outstanding book. Has a lot of information. And I guarantee you that you read that book, you study that book, and you use those techniques and those principles, and you'll go from being a person that don't communicate well to a person that seems to get along with everybody and seems to communicate with everybody. So that's fantastic. So you definitely should go out and get that book, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And of course, as you know, CLM II will leave a link in the description so you can go and you can pick up that book. It's not expensive. They have all types of different versions. I would definitely pick that up and make sure that's a part of your library. Okay? Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I want to talk about another book before I go. And this is a quick talk. I'm now reading this book here. And this book here is called Dapper Dan, Made in Harlem. Right? Fantastic book. So for those of you who don't know Dapper Dan, this was a gentleman who was in Harlem in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and has now resurfaced in the 2000s to really make a splash in the fashion industry. And when I was growing up in Harlem, because I'm a Harlem guy myself, Dapper Dan was the most expensive men's clothing boutique. But he didn't just do men's clothing. He did clothing for women also. But what made him so famous in Harlem is that he was doing Gucci and Louis Vuitton. He used to take their designs and he used to make it and put it into his own clothes. And all of the drug dealers and the hustlers and then the rappers from the early 80s started to wear his clothes. And once they started to wear his clothes, he just blew up. And he blew up so much that the expensive designers all got together and they banned him, and he could not do any more clothes for years. He had to go underground. I think he went underground for over 10 years. So he couldn't do his stuff. They closed down his boutique. He had a boutique on 125th Street. It's a fascinating book. I'm right in the middle of the book now. I recommend that you guys go out there and you get this book. He now has a deal with Gucci, and he's collaborated with Gucci because Gucci went out and they redid one of his designs from the 80s. And now he's back in the news. He got this book out. When you go to Gucci, you can see some of his designs on the Gucci website. Fantastic book. I recommend that you go out and you get this. A little bit of history for a gentleman who's been working in the fashion industry for years. And I think you're really going to like it. Okay? And what I'll do is, of course, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can go and you can pick up this book. So that's it for this week. I hope everyone has a great week. And you know that I will see you next Monday. Peace.